everyone, this is Run.Life.Repeat. This is our second podcast, and we are very fortunate to have a Comrades silver medalist on our podcast today. I'm going to introduce you to Hennie van Niekerk. Hennie is a husband to Carina for 17 years. He has 3 children. He has finished 4 Comrades Marathons, and the last one he actually done in less than 7.5 hours, which earned him a silver medal. There's obviously not a lot of people that can say they have a Comrades silver medal. So Hennie, welcome to Run.Life.Repeat.
Carina and Liezl, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I think it is a great opportunity. So thank you very much, you guys.
So Hennie, I just want to know before we start with the actual interview, because I want to be there as well. How does it feel to be a Comrades silver medalist?
I think it is a great privilege. It is a lot of hard work over a couple of years, especially for me. I think to finish Comrades is a massive achievement for anybody. And to run a silver, that just clinched something for me. It was a personal goal that I've set for myself when I started running, because I always believed that I've got the capability to do it. But it's a box that we've ticked. It's a box that we've worked extremely hard for over a period of 4 years before I actually got the medal. So it wasn't a thing that happened overnight for me, but that is running for you. And I think everybody runs within their capabilities. And a silver medal for some people is something that they will never run. But then for your gold medalists, a silver medal is something that is not an achievement for them. So I think everybody runs within their capabilities when it comes to Comrades, and that is what's making the race special. So when you get that opportunity to achieve what you've set yourself to do, it is an accomplishment, and it makes you feel very proud.
Awesome. Hennie, you have a very powerful story of facing what you have called your biggest giant. Would you please share with us something about your life story? You can share just what you're comfortable in sharing with our listeners, but we would really love to hear something about your story.
The story that you are referring to, it is actually a story where I enjoyed alcohol a little bit too much. I wouldn't say that I was completely addicted to it, but it was a challenge in my life where I really believed that is taking away from me as a person. But it took a time to actually realize what alcohol was doing to me and to my life. Now, I was going through a lot in my school years. People will tell you that I didn't use alcohol up until the age of, or up until my matric year. I have never used alcohol, but then something dramatically happened in my life during my matric year. First of all, my mum and my dad went through a divorce, which accumulated to pressure. And my dad also got diagnosed with a heart disease. And in a moment there, I found comfort in a release that was with friends and with alcohol. So that is where everything kick-started. And for about 5 years after that, let's say from 18 or 17 and a half to about 23, alcohol was a part of my life. And it was during that time as well when my father passed. And when he passed, it was really an anchor in my life that went missing from zero to zero. And it was a coping mechanism for me. Now, was it the right coping mechanism? definitely not. But because I used that as a coping mechanism, I didn't realize what it was actually doing to people around me. And then my son got born in 2006. Sorry, I said up until 2003. 2003 wasn't the time that I stopped. Sorry. And that is what was when I got married. So my wife might throw me with something. Luckily, she's not yet. But in 2006, my first son got born, and I knew that there was changes that I needed to make. And that is when I decided, you know what, this is actually not good for me. And it all happened when we went onto a trip to Mozambique. And while I made my wife a promise back then, and I said, you know what, we're not going to, I'm not going to drink while we're in Mozambique. And the very first night, I partied with the boys and I got really drunk. And the next morning, I was feeling so guilty because I made a promise and I broke that promise. And we went out deep sea fishing. And I'm not somebody that gets sick going out in the sea. And that day, I got so sick. And in a moment, I realized, you know what? What are you busy doing? Here you are in the middle of the ocean. What happens to you if you have to lay your life down today? What is people going to say about you? Who were you as a person? Are you proud of the person that you are in this moment? And I wasn't. So when we got back from Mozambique, I started the journey. I went to a friend's house, and that friend, Dewald, up until today, I will never forget that. As I went into his study, he said to me, friend, I've got a feeling I've got to pray for you for something. What is it that I can pray for you for? And I said to him, I think I'm okay. And he said, have you given your heart to Jesus? I said, yes, I have. He says, but I've got a feeling that I should pray for you for something. And I said, you know what? I want to stop drinking completely. And he prayed for me, and it was literally that there was like a bag of cement lifting off my shoulders in a moment. And from that moment on, I knew I was free from the addiction of alcohol. But there was also a lot of realizations that happened along the way. I mean, I was sick and tired of being the party animal. I was sick and tired of trying to please people. I was sick and tired of not being who I believed I could be. So all of that came as a choice, and it was an accumulation of a lot of things coming together in that stage. But it was in a moment that I was set free from alcohol, and up until today, I've never touched alcohol again, and that is now 13 plus years ongoing. No, 14. Yeah, 2006.
I think it's
it's almost 14 years.
Was it not 2007?
Yeah, 2007. Yes, you're correct. Yeah,
it's 13 years.
So it is 13 years. Yeah,
it's 13 an incredible achievement.
You said that you were set free and your friend prayed for you. So from there on, was it an easy road for you to not take up that alcohol again?
No, I think this is where a lot of misconception happens, is to think that things are easy after that, because you must remember, you come from a world where people are used to you being the party animal, used to you, the guy that's initiating, listen, let's go for a drink. And suddenly you've got to withdraw from all of that and say, you know what, from now on, I've got to make decisions that's the best for me. Obviously, I mean, at the first party of my, back then, my firstborn, when he turned a year, I will never remember, I'll never forget. I stopped drinking back then for almost, I would say it was almost 6 months already. And the one friend brought alcohol to the birthday party, and he said to me, just have a drink with us. This is not who you are. And I said, no, that is a decision that I've made. I've stopped this completely. So there was always these temptations coming in, but I knew You know what? I was free from it. So, but even when you know that you are free from stuff, you still got to make the choice. I'm not going to go back there. And for me, one drink would lead to another, would lead to another. I never drank because I enjoyed it. I drank because I wanted to get drunk. It is as easy as that, because there was a certain freedom when I was drunk, which I believed there was freedom. There wasn't real freedom because nothing, actually, it just added pressure.
Hennie, you chose the sober lifestyle before you started running, and that was about 13 years ago. What or who influenced you to become a runner, and how has running helped you in your journey to stay sober?
Okay, there's two questions here, and I'll answer each one of them. The first question is who inspired me. But before we get to the running part, is I used to be a cyclist. So I knew I had a lot of endurance, and if I worked at it and if I trained for it, I always believed that I could be a runner as well. Who influenced me was Carina. What happened is Carina, when we grew up, never used to be a sport lover, or if she was.
Can I say, sorry, Hennie, I just want to tell people, Carina is your sister. We haven't said that yet. So to all of our listeners, Carina is his sister. Okay, sorry, you can go ahead.
No. So when we grew up, Carina wasn't really into sports that much. She was the academic head in the house, and she got flipping good marks in academics, and she just didn't love sport that much. But she was working back in the day in Sun City, and then there she started to, I think she started there, running a little bit here and there and so forth. And she started her first Two Oceans half marathon. And I thought yesterday, this is a good thing for her. She never loved it, but she got something that she enjoys, and it's running. And she finished the first one, and I thought, well done. And she finished the second one, and I thought, well done again. And it was when she finished the third one that I said, you know what, I'm looking for a challenge for myself, because I've been out of endurance sport for such a long time that I need new challenges, I need new goals. And one of those goals was a fitness or a health goal. And I said, you know what, because my sister did Two Oceans, I'm going to enter Two Oceans with her, and I'm going to run the next one with her. But I'll just enter the 56K. I didn't know what it was.
From nothing.
But
he was not running 5 kilometers at that stage.
And I also said, but while I'm going to train, I'll also enter Comrades as well. I mean, there was this false belief which I had in my mind of exactly how far that is if you have to do it by foot. Because I was a cyclist, I couldn't really see the difference between 56 and 90 kilometers to run it. I mean, it's a short distance when you speak about it, but to actually run it, it's a different story. And so Carina inspired me, and that is how I got to running. And after Two Oceans, she finished it. I thought, when that entries open up, I'm in. And I entered my first Two Oceans, and I entered Comrades, and I entered my first marathon. That was in November. And I thought, I'll just work at it, going towards it. And little did I know how far a marathon can be. But I realized that along the way.
What was your worst marathon experience, Hennie?
The worst marathon experience that I had, it was last year, actually, in November, which was Kaapse Whip, which was also my first marathon back in 2015, November, which was my qualifier that I just referred to. Now, Kaapsehoop is a very beautiful marathon. It's got a profile that goes down a lot, but what you don't realize as a non-runner, running down a hill hurts more than running uphill. The one tires you out a little bit more than the other, but going down, all the impact because of that little few centimeters more, it hurts, and it hurts your quads. But yeah, last year I had a bad one at Kaapsehoop. At 14 kilometers, I had to stop because I was genuinely feeling sick. So that was my worst marathon experience. The toughest marathon that I finished was my first one, hands down, because you don't know what to expect. Your body is screaming, it's aching, and you get to 30 kilometers and you've got another 10 to go, and you think, how the hell am I going to finish this? At 38 kilometers, you start to walk and you just want to stop, and you say, I can't. It genuinely hurts. But yeah, that is the first one. But after that, when you start learning about these things, and you know this is a thing that I'm going to go through, you start to mentally prep for it, and you just become more accustomed to it. So you know how to handle it.
You get used to the pain.
Running is
You
a
get used to the
humbling
pain.
sport. I think that is the one thing that all of us can agree on.
I think the most beautiful thing about running for me is the camaraderie in running. And everybody, whether you the guy that's breaking the finish line, going through it first, or whether you the last guy finishing, we all go through the same struggles during that 42 kilometers or 90 kilometers, whatever it may be. So even if our goals are different as of finishing times, the struggle inside the run is exactly the same for everybody. And that's what's the beauty about running. You can running to the poorest oak next to you. He's got the ability, trained the same as you, and you run and you become friends along the way. You can run along the richest guy and nobody is stuck up. It is just a sport that is down to earth and everybody is enjoying it.
Hennie, I'm very interested in the habits and the beliefs that sets you up for accomplishing the things that you accomplish. You are such a successful and dedicated runner. Would you share some of your habits with us?
I think or the most important thing as in life is consistency. It is far better to run 2 kilometers every day for or 5 days of the week, 2 kilometers, have a rest day here and there, than to try and run 10 kilometer over the weekend. So success is exactly the same. It happens in small steps done on a continuous basis, gives you a magnificent result at the end. You don't go to a marathon with one long training run. You go there with what you've done during the weeks and months building up to the race. So the race is just the cherry. And that is the same in life. We need to do things that is best for us, not easy for us. There's a big difference. It's a nice talk that I actually saw of Jannie Pitter. We should incorporate best habits, not easy habits. And best habits is when you do the right thing, even when it's uncomfortable, which is best for you on a daily basis. So I think having adopted that mindset early on helped me with a lot of the success that I'm having today.
Yes, that's really amazing. One thing that I want to ask you, and I think that is one of the things that so many people struggle with, is that how do we balance, or how do you balance? Because being a Comrades silver medalist, it takes a lot of time and dedication and effort. How do you balance running with family life? Because you are also a very committed family man that puts his wife and children first. How do you balance the time and the energy of running with family life?
That is actually a very easy question to answer. You give your wife and kids sleeping tablets the night before, so they will sleep late, and then you go and run early in the morning before they wake up. No, that is just a teaser. Yeah, you know what? Having success in running, especially training for Comrades Silver, your training schedule is very hard. But there's only 2 months of the year that is really a lot of kilometers that we do, and that is March, April. It depends on when Comrades is, half into May as well. So my wife at this stage, or actually my whole family, they're very supportive, and they know when we get to those months, training is going to be hectic, so they give me the time and the space to do that. But I also try and, just like you say, balance family life as well. So I plan my day. I know that, I need to go and run every day, and if it is my shorter sessions, I would try and start my training by 4:00 in the afternoon. I would get to work early because I drop the kids at school. So I would use that time to take off in the afternoon. Luckily, I've got a job where it allows me to do that as well. And then I would start training by 4:00 and get my hour and a half in. A lot of people think that a silver medalist run more than a bronze medalist, but it's not necessarily the case. It is just the training paces that we are training at. It is faster. So where a guy that runs at 6 minutes a kilometer will do 10 kilometers in an hour, if we do a hard training, we might run 15 kilometers in that hour when we do speed work. So you get 5 kilometers more, although the time is almost exactly the same.
Awesome. We have 10 minutes left before, well, less than 10 minutes. So there's the last two questions that I really want to ask. So there might be somebody that's listening to us today, Hennie, that might be where you were 13 years ago. What advice do you have for people to change the trajectory of their lives?
I think everything happens when you decide. Another talk that I watched the other day is, and it's again from Yanni Pitter, but it says, become a thrower in life. Throw things out instead of somebody that's a catcher. Because when you catch, you wait for the world to respond to you, and you are subject to the circumstances. When you become the thrower, you tell your mind what to think. And that is what we need to do, is we need to start having a clear plan and vision for our lives. We need to know what it is that we want out of life, and then chip away at it on a daily basis. Start small. Don't think that everything happens in a day, because it doesn't. It is a lot of steps, small steps done on a consistent basis leads to beautiful results. So if you want to change your life, know where you want to go, know who you are, and ask a question. The future self, how would he do the next thing that I'm about to do? And work to something that is serving you, not that's taking away from you. And get around people that is inspiring you. Don't think you're going to sit with a negative crowd of people and have positive results, because that is not going to happen either. When you are somebody that is still stuck in a situation, you can't think you're going to change everybody around you, because you're not strong enough. I'm not saying that you will never get to that stage, but you need to look after yourself first in the beginning, so to serve everybody else around you at a later stage.
Hennie, in the absence of the actual races, and like you said before, the camaraderie that we have in races, at the moment, do you do any speed work, or do you just do the endurance training? What tips would you give for our listeners if they just want to stay fit and motivated during this time?
Luckily, Liezl, I'm part of the Coach Perry platform. Lindsay is also my coach, and he holds me accountable. So he still throws in speed work for me, even though we're in lockdown. He's got like no grace with me. I hope he's going to listen to this talk. But no, he's a fantastic.
We'll tag him.
He's a fantastic guy. And I mean, when you lack personal discipline, add external structure. A lot of people think that because I accomplish things, that I've got all these disciplines myself, or all this discipline myself. And it's not really the case. There's a lot of places where I lack discipline, but I just know I lack the discipline. So I add the structure to hold me accountable and hold me to it. So no, we still do speed work. At the moment, we are running the shorter stuff. We are focusing on getting our fastest 5K, our fastest 10K, and then we will build up to the marathons and the longer races when the running opens up again. But to stay focused, it is focused on the stuff that you can do at this stage. We can't look down the future. We don't know what it's going to hold. So there's a lot of disappointment that already happened to a lot of the runners, or actually all of our runners, with races being cancelled left, right, and center. But that's the cards. That's what we got dealt this year. So we just need to focus on the things that we can do. And one of those things, or part of my lifestyle, is to stay healthy. And to stay healthy means I'm going to run. And I'm at the moment just doing what I need to do. I don't go for excessively long runs, but if I don't train every day for the minimum of an hour, my wife will tell me to go train. Trust me, it is one of my coping mechanisms.
I think there's one last question that I would just like to throw in. And Hennie, you have an incredible mindset about life and success and just how you do different things. Obviously, this pandemic and the crisis brought a whole lot of challenges. But what opportunities do you see for us runners post-COVID?
The way I see it is that we're going to have, in general life, we're going to have two different poles here. We're going to have the one pole that's going to blame COVID for everything that happened to them. And we're going to have the other pole where people is going to excel, or there's new opportunities that's going to be created by those. I think we need to focus on what we can do. And success leaves clues. It is something that, but so does failure. So we need to start saying, I want to do what the people is going to do that's going to turn out successful in this environment. Copy them. Go and see, there's a lot of people that is so focused on the negative news, and that is what they feed themselves daily, is just all the negative stuff. And if that is your focus point, your whole environment will become negative. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the negative crap, because I want to stay positive in this space, because both of those are choices that we need to make. If we're going to stay positive, or are we going to stay negative? And for me, there's much more beauty in being the positive guy than there is being the negative guy and get myself into negative self-talk. One thing is, if you wake up in the morning and you say thank you, it means you've got something already that you're saying thank you for. So it is a daily habit that you can install. That is a good habit. So that as well.